Well, thank you all for coming to the VR kind of demonstration, some of the things that we've been doing at Chapman University. And I'm glad that we'll be able to kind of talk and brainstorm and share ideas together. So I might go through the slides a little bit on the fast side. But my name is David May, the Director of Web and Interactive Marketing at Chapman University. First couple examples I have actually are not completed necessarily like constructed videos, but just stationary 360 camera so that we could add those to our interactive campus map. So the idea is instead of a whole produced video, people can just sit on campus for 30 seconds to a minute and kind of see what it's like to be there. So this is the Musco Center for Performing Arts. It's one of the newer buildings there. And then if we turn around, we're looking at the business building over here. And then this is kind of the Interfaith Center. This is inside of the Musco Center for the Arts.
Beautiful building.
Yeah, it's nice. We'll get the audio here from here's the dressing rooms. That's what it feels like to be, I guess, right before you're going out for a performance. It just opened about 6 months ago. It's kind of cool. This is the inside of the auditorium.
That's great.
Do a lot of performances down there. Anybody, if you want to come down to Chapman and see a performance, then let me know. I'll skip through some of this stuff because it'll be faster. This is a little bit better kind of experience of our campus outside. So this is the what we call the Italo Piazza. There's a lot of Italian influence on our campus, so we have a lot of piazzas and a lot of these kind of community gathering spaces on campus. This is one of the events. This is a library back here. So again, I'll kind of skip through a little bit faster. Let's see, I'll skip that one. We have a rock climbing wall. I'll show a few seconds of it.
Oh, nice.
So this is inside the residence halls. There's kind of a big tower there, so students can, go out, hang out down there. And then let's see. This is our athletics complex. We wanted to do a 360 video from up here because on one side you can see the football field, and then on the other side our swimming pool is down there. So it's kind of this pyramid shape. It's kind of fun to watch on both sides.
You guys do have a pretty fancy campus, right?
Yeah, it's fun. We do a lot of fun events down there and stuff like that. So that's then a little bit about our digital marketing. I graduated from Chapman a while ago, and then I started working in the admission office. So I was working with prospective students, trying to determine if Chapman was a good match for them. And then also reading the applications and making recommendations to the admission committee as to whether they should be admitted or not. At that time, this was a long time ago, there was a lot of new media ways to engage students, like MySpace, and Facebook was a thing back then too. But we started to create blogs and a lot of new media ways to interact with students. Then when the marketing department was created at Chapman, we transitioned over there. So our website is about 10 million page views annually. We were an early adopter of responsive web design, so we like to think that we try to stay on top of the best practices as much as possible. We have about 50 social media accounts that represent kind of demographics target marketing approach. So we have the big general brand, but then we also have specific brands that speak to specific audiences. So the admission office has a Facebook page and social media accounts. The School for Science and Technology has accounts as well, so then we can do a little bit more specialized content there. Over the last couple of years, we just crossed the other day, I think this happened 2 days ago, 100,000 social media posts. Yeah. So here's an example of an event video it's 360 video.
This color's better.
Yeah, that one does look better over there.
Oh.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll even see if I can go into full screen mode for this one. But this is more of an event. So this is commencement from last year. So of course users can
Class of 2016, please rise.
Oh.
I hope that we've offered you the
I might have to go down in quality a little, which is too bad because it looks really beautiful in
tools to
4K.
make your life
But let me shrink it down a little bit.
successful in your choice of profession. But much more important, we hope we've honed your ability to think clearly, and objectively. We hope you will face the challenges ahead with sound minds and a strong ethical foundation. And we hope.
Now I'll kind of turn it down a little bit, and I'm not gonna keep driving, so you'll have to whatever it settles on, we'll have to be happy about. You'll notice that a lot of the videos that we do for the university are very edited and produced. With the social media, or I'm sorry, with the 360 video stuff, you'll see a lot of long takes. There's not a lot of cuts, and part of that is because we wanted to make sure this was VR ready. Of course, most of our audience is consuming this content just on YouTube. Not everybody has a VR headset, but we wanted to be friendly to VR headsets, and we know that when there's too much shift in the horizon, and when there's too much editing, it's just not consumable. It's too difficult to watch. You can get motion sickness and stuff like that. So we purposely leave, these shots up for a long time. Now this video was created for us by a student group, actually. So we work with our film school and some of the students to create our VR content and our 360 video content, and the AR stuff that we're starting to do as well. So that, we won't watch the whole thing, but that's part of that. Well, maybe I won't do this full screen thing anymore, because it's kind of... Okay, so I'll take a quick break from the slides to give you all some very good news. I have prizes. It was just going to be for people who answered questions and things like that. But here we have the Chapman student group that does a lot of our 360 and VR content is called Vigo, and they generously donated a couple of these Google Cardboard headsets for us, so we have one for everybody here.
Awesome.
And the idea is that you're going to fold these up. You don't have to do it right now, but when you get home, you will be able to interact with Chapman and other people's 360 video content.
Thank you.
Two over here.
Building a collection.
It's cool.
This is kind of an early version of an idea that we're thinking of doing at Chapman. If you're familiar with university marketing, there's a print piece. Oh, another one. Sorry. There's a print piece that virtually all the schools do, and it's called a view book, and it's basically what all the prospective students get. So one of the things that we're thinking of doing next year, or maybe for the Chapman magazine, which is an alumni outreach marketing piece, is to somehow create it, with a cardboard front and back, or maybe just insert something like this separately and have a Chapman University branded cardboard piece that we mail out to all the prospective students and all the alumni so that they can see some of this content that we're making in that environment. We're totally happy with Facebook, 360 video experience and YouTube's 360 experience, but this gives kind of that hook that, is maybe people will talk about a little bit more, makes it a little bit more unique. There are a number of other schools who are doing 360 content that I'll show as an example, and just other companies as well. I know I'm probably the only one here, talking about university marketing. But Notre Dame has made a microsite for their 360 content, and it's really attractive. So you kind of go through and you get a little bit of instructions on how to do this, and then you can see a lot of their content. They've got, this beautiful campus as well that they created a musical performance, and at first you're looking around and you're like, wow, there's just a lot of people looking at me, what is this? When you look up, you realize that the choir and the band are up here. And so they did a good job playing with the space and kind of figuring out, what they could do with the medium.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So after you build your headset, if you want a couple good examples, I recommend going to chapman.edu/360, and we've got to redo our page to kind of keep up with Notre Dame. But we have examples of our content up here as well, tours of some of our buildings, and then you can also go to 360.nd.edu to see some of their examples. There's also, and this is the lazy way of doing this, these other companies that are listed in this kind of top 5 list also do a great job. I don't know if everybody saw the Nike commercial that was in 360. That was very cool. The Terminator Genesis content, I think that's the one we should look at right now just because it's pretty cool. I don't know if people like it. Has everybody already seen this?
I have.
Skynet has
Nobody?
discovered the very important part of future work is the machines. Send the Terminator back in time to destroy you.
Seriously? Why me?
Celestic, Superwoman, resistance leader responsible for 128 successful missions against Skynet.
Whoa, for real?
There's a Terminator in the YouTube space.
So let's skip ahead. But you kind of get the idea. So it's fun, right? It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun stuff. And let me go back into presentation mode here. Did everybody see Stranger Things? Anybody?
Yeah.
People like Stranger Things. Okay. So Stranger Things, created by the Duffer Brothers, they're Chapman University alumni, and part of their marketing campaign also includes a 360 video, which is it's awkward when I'm going back and forth here, so I won't show it now. But after you put your cardboard headsets together, search Stranger Things 360, and you can watch the Stranger Things kind of, well, I guess I don't want to spoil anything, but you'll see a Stranger Things customized bit of content that helps with their marketing as well. So it's one thing, I tend to nerd out on just how cool it is. I'm just excited that VR and 360 video and pretty soon AR is happening right now. But of course we have to justify this. If we're doing marketing stuff, we have to justify why our institutions should be putting resources into creating this content. And our kind of argument is that it gets down to the content marketing basics. It's a different kind of content that is attracting a specific demographic that may or may not be, your demographic or your target audience. But we know that if you only share blog posts all day, or if you only share specific types of content all day, eventually your audience tires of it. So I think that it's kind of incumbent upon the marketers to figure out what's different type of content that can be engaging and kind of keep your audience excited about your brand. So I think based on what I've seen and heard at this conference so far, I don't think I need to go over content marketing with anybody. I think everybody gets it and already knows about it. But this is kind of my favorite, easiest way to explain it to people is it's a graphic from HubSpot. And you're basically attracting people, you're converting people through the funnel, and then you're making sure that they have good experiences with your brand and they're really excited about you. But if you want to see this graphic, I would just Google content marketing HubSpot, and it's the first thing that comes up. And it's just really easy if you're explaining to supervisors or to whoever, why are we doing content marketing? What is content marketing strategy? It's like imagine just creating great content that people are going to share so that they can have a positive experience with our brand. And 360 video or VR, different things like that are a totally valid way to do that. It's small, but this is our top performing videos from the large Chapman University Facebook page. And it's hard to tell which ones are VR, but we have the Chapman logo, on kind of where you're standing. So it's easy for me to tell because I know what that looks like when it's flattened out. So a couple of the VR videos are in the top videos. So I think that validates, the justification to go through the expense and create VR content or 360 content instead of just constantly doing, traditional video. Especially because the barrier to entry is lower and lower. It's actually just, as everybody in the room probably knows, it's not that difficult. It depends how complicated you want to get with it, but at the most basic form, it's actually really easy to do 360 video. Now you can go all the way to Google Jump or the Facebook open source system that they announced, which I think if you take that recipe and put everything together, it still costs like $20,000, but the quality is amazing. Then you can go all the way down to really cheap stuff, and the quality, you get what you pay for, but there's always a justification depending on your use case. If you're gonna take a couple, even just 360 photos at an event, we use this Ryko camera here. I meant to bring it so that I could take a 360 picture of us and upload it really quick and just show everybody how easy it is. And then we would, all be in this 360 picture together. But of course I forgot it, so I'm not gonna do that after all. But that kind of, this Samsung VR also represents kind of a low barrier to entry just because the headsets are not that expensive. The lowest, of course, the cheapest thing is Google Cardboard. But yeah, it's one of those things where you can get incredibly complicated with it, or you can do the basics. Some of the stuff I didn't know. It sounds like, are we gonna in the next session be able to wear a Hololens? Did anybody else hear that, or was
Yeah,
that my
that's what I said.
imagination?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited about that. I was prepared to talk about HoloLens here, and apparently I don't need to say much about it because we're about to go put one on, which is exciting. And I think everybody in the room has probably seen this, even if you have, and hopefully you haven't, but even if you have, it's so awesome that it's worth watching again. Has everybody seen this facility in Utah that they're building?
Oh yeah, it's for the video games.
Yeah. I'm sorry to make everybody watch that, but
No, that's cool.
I mean, who doesn't want to go do
Never
that?
seen it.
It's crazy too because there's 360 video, there's AR, there's VR, and I don't know if everybody totally yet agrees on the definition of all those things. So, you know, I guess it's 360 video if we're looking at it on our phone like this, or if we're watching 360 YouTube or Facebook. But I guess it's VR as soon as we put this on. Or is it? Maybe it's still just 360 video with a different viewer. Maybe it's not VR until you have a controller and you're like either walking around or playing sort of like a game. But then if you're like the Void and you're walking around but with a full headset on, I guess is that starting to be AR? Because you can touch things, you can move, you're holding a gun, there's an element of, it's sort of like this very gray sort of gradient, I guess, where AR becomes, 360 video becomes VR, which becomes AR. We're gonna see HoloLens, which maybe I'll skip the video. But it's crazy because I'm getting the impression that you probably have seen this thing before, but you can be in a room, a blank room with nothing on the walls and nothing on the table, and you put this headset on, and all of a sudden there's a giant flat screen TV there, and you have a little dog following you around, and there's a shark flying around over the table or whatever. That's augmented reality. Pokemon Go, that's augmented reality light. Anyway, it's crazy. The future is awesome. What else? I had a couple other examples. Okay, everybody knows Project Tango. So this is going to be AR, but even more pro-consumer, I guess. You know, HoloLens is still kind of expensive and it's developers, but they very recently announced that you can now buy a Project Tango phone. It's a Lenovo phone, And
Hi, I'm Addie Robertson with The Verge, and I'm here at
skip around a little bit.
full of experiments that can vision. Lowe's really likes to do augmented reality systems.
So what she's talking about, Lowe's has an app already for Project Tango, which basically has multiple cameras and it analyzes the shape of the room and objects that are in the room. So the way Lowe's uses that is it identifies a gap in your kitchen, and then you can see what different stoves or dishwashers or whatever look like in that space.
Wayfair View is a little bit like Lowe's in that it wants you to buy furniture, but it wants you to be
So there's other applications. There's of course games.
navigable.
I think that, I don't know if she's demonstrating. There's one that's called like Dinosaurs in the Real World or something like that.
Also play some games with Tango. One of these is Whirl from
Okay, that's one of the games. Where's the dinosaur ones?
Tango, that iPad thing?
in your room.
Yeah.
The last thing we checked out
This-
was called Dinos Among Us.
Tango's actually more like a, I guess it's more of a software. It's more of a platform, and so this tablet at this moment is running Project Tango, but the Lenovo phone I think is like probably 6 inches, 6.5 inches, something like
The
that.
first commercialized phone that comes with it.
Yeah.
Hololens or something that realistically looks like a hologram. And it's still kind of
So that's that. And then this is HoloLens that it sounds like we're going to see in a minute, so maybe I'll just skip through this, but this video blows my mind. None of this stuff is real that this guy's looking at. I mean, the table is.
The whole room? Oh.
And from what I hear from people that have seen it,
It's pretty much the same, but it's not as crisp.
I've heard it. So you've had it on before, okay? Because I've heard that the
If you
qualities.
think about this as a commercial, so don't
Right,
that's
right.
possible. So like, I think it's definitely there. It just needs more time.
Needs more
It
time.
needs more time with the product, with the UX, the UI, like even just the gesture of things. It needs more
Yeah,
time.
that's the one thing. What was that thing, Leap Motion? Remember Leap Motion? I was wondering that about HoloLens because I remember what I hated about Leap Motion is that it made using my computer feel like playing Operation. You know what I mean? It was like just way more frustrating than using a mouse. So I'm worried that with the HoloLens, I'm gonna be like, no, I'm doing this. I'm gesturing like this.
Gesture is a big deal because you can only do this. This is the only thing that you do. It's to click, to move. It's like only
Yeah.
So it's like the first Xbox.
Yeah.
But you have to start.
You have to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
this part of HoloLens
Yeah.
that I think is really cool is so I was here I'm talking about live streaming and AR and VR. Those are kind of the different panels that I'm on. And what I love about this part of the HoloLens is it incorporates everything. The person is wearing HoloLens, they're seeing these arrows live, but they're live streaming kind of. They're talking to their father who is using a browser to draw on what he sees so that he's instructing this person on how to do it. And she's actually seeing those shapes appear in real
That's
time.
crazy.
You heard about the company in Daiquiri?
Daiquiri, yeah. In fact, we almost hired Daiquiri like years ago, but they were too expensive. They're probably less expensive now. But let me show you a Chapman example. So this is a Chapman company.
You know so much.
Huh?
I was like
'cause
looking.
we work with Daiquiri. They're one of our clients.
Okay, Daiquiri's great. There's a company that's a startup from Chapman that is, I would encourage you all to try out. They're a lot less expensive just because they're getting started and they're students. They're called Well Told, and their website I think is welltold.io. Make sure that's right. So Vigo is one to pay attention to. Well Told is good to pay attention to. This is something that, so Well Told and Vigo teamed up for a Halloween experience at Chapman University, and they had 3 experiences. One was a VR like 360 video where you sit down, and then they actually used rope to lightly kind of strap you to the chair. And the Halloween experience was that you were strapped to this chair, so you look down and you see your own arms, you know, that you're strapped to this chair. And then, of course, these Halloween type things happening to you, and it's this scarecrow-based thing. They had another experience that's a little bit more like the Void thing that Utah had, where you're holding kind of a lamp and you're walking around the barn, and you're seeing these different, it's kind of like a VR haunted house, where you're literally walking through, but there's nothing, you know, you take the headset off and there's nothing there.
But like, how can we apply this like to brands, like especially ours that are beauty and fashion?
Yeah.
And
Oh, beauty is interesting. I think beauty is one of the best
think
places
beauty's- yeah.
to use VR because I think one of the key things that beauty can do is that how can you take a tutorial and put it into virtual 360, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Because you have a tutorial. I'm so into beauty. I don't know why. Because my aunt owns like a beauty brand, so I'm like really into like Asian
Yeah.
beauty and all that stuff. And the thing about that is like there's always process to beauty.
Yes.
You can like dissect that into like one film strip and just have it around you. You
Yeah.
always have to be able to keep going.
Yeah.
That's very possible. Like Refinery 29 has already done something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it has been done. It just needs to be like.
Because
Yeah.
then the user, like, when you play games, video games, you are more open to try and everything. But like a user that uses like beauty products and everything, what like right now they are comfortable with the YouTube how-to videos, but why they should try the the thing?
I don't know enough about that world probably, but I can imagine that it would be interesting if somebody had, for example, a Hololens or an AR headset on, and they were able to practice. They're like, oh, I'm gonna use this blush here. Or like, what would my hair look like if it was purple or whatever? You could do different things. Hey, see, Josh just walked in. He's gonna be mad that I'm not in front of the camera. Josh, I know you're listening to this right now on the camera. Okay, this is the company that I mentioned, Well Told, and their contribution to the VR experience at Chapman was to create a viewable version of the haunted house when you saw one of the flyers. So you could download the app, and if you held the phone at one of the flyers, then you would get this like haunted house thing that you could zoom into, and you could see the different rooms, and you could see kind of what was happening.
Quick question: did they do the AR stuff, or did the what are they?
So Vigo does the 360 video and the VR type stuff, and then Well Told does the AR.
So
Well
they do this
Told,
kind of stuff.
yeah, they do this. Well Told is like Daiquiri. So anyway,
It has to be a specific phone or iPad or.
it does. It works with iOS or Android, but you need an app on there,
Yeah.
and you
Okay.
really. It's not just your regular camera app. Like this icon down here, that's the app that they were using to work through.
And can we use this case to have more experience, like a more real experience?
I don't remember. That's a
Because
good
here
point.
it's kind of
So with that, it's more of like taking like a phone and
Yeah.
revealing
Yeah.
like a AR platform. So imagine that you have like a makeup product that will come up from the ground, and you're like, oh, I can see
Right.
it with my phone. Or
Yeah.
you lift up someone's face and their makeup
Yeah.
will be different.
Yeah.
But with VR, you're taking it into an enclosed environment where
Yeah.
you're being teleported somewhere else. So that's the difference between VR and VR.
cool.
One's open, one's closed.
Right, okay.
So we have a few minutes. I purposely made it a little bit shorter so that we had time to build these if you want. And you don't have to. It's easier to take home when it's still closed. But I have another gift for everybody because we're always excited to get more people hanging out at Chapman and coming down to tour the space, especially people interested in technology. So I have Chapman sunglasses for everybody.
Oh, awesome.
So
Do they have my prescription?
oh no, that's a good
Oh,
one. See, I
okay.
should have called. I got an advance prescription.
Thank you anyway.
Yeah. So I also went a little fast. It's a little bit smaller group, so we can kind of brainstorm and talk. Like already started to happen organically a little bit. But for us, the VR and the 360 and the AR stuff makes a lot of sense. Again, because we're a university, and one of our big selling points is getting people on campus so that they can experience the campus and imagine what it would be, what it would feel like to be a student there for 4 years. So, if there's people in New York or the Pacific Rim or all over the place that want to have kind of a virtual tour, a virtual experience, then that's one of the things that's helpful for us. AR, we haven't done a whole lot with yet, but one possible practical application for us is that our admission office, which gives the campus tours, is available for normal work hours, 8 to 5 on weekdays, which a lot of people are in school or parents are at work. So what we'd like is for maybe after 5 p.m., if somebody comes to the campus and wants to do a tour, they're able to have essentially a virtual tour guide. Not just somebody, walking around in their space, but maybe they can hold up the phone in front of a certain building, and the bust, the head that's in front of that building could come to life and sort of talk to them and tell them about the building or something like that. We're brainstorming those ideas right now, but we don't have anything set up yet.
Cool.